It's a really important topic, and some of the Muslims, alhamdulillah, they follow it. Some they forget sometimes. Some they don't do it at all. Which is like a recitation of Surah Al-Kahf, the Kahf Surah, يوم الجمعة and ليلة الجمعة كما قال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. And Yom al-Jumu'ah, my dear brothers and sisters, first of all, the day and the night in the Islamic calendar, it's not 12 a.m. and so on. No, after Maghrib, when the Maghrib say the harf, the letter of Allahu Akbar, that means the night is coming, and the next day, let's say day and night, next 24 hours, it's coming. That means once Salat al-Maghrib or Adhan al-Maghrib coming like this came, that means we enter with Yom al-Jumu'ah and Laylat al-Jumu'ah, or the whole 24 hours of al-Jumu'ah. That means you are Allah starting from Maghrib tonight till tomorrow before Maghrib to recite Surah Al-Kahf to go the full credit from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you forget, you can do it Saturday, Sunday, but it's not going to be as full unless you are forget, real forget, but not being lazy, God forbidden, or stuff like that. So even subhanallah, which is not it's not about just recitation of Surah Al-Kahf. Even if you're making ghusl for Jumu'ah, starting from al-Maghrib of subhanallah, this Maghrib till subhanallah, Salat al-Jumu'ah. But as much as you are close to Salat al-Jumu'ah, which is going to be much better and more reward. Why? Because when you come into Salat al-Jumu'ah, gathering the people, not like any kind of smell or something, sweating or all of this stuff. So when you are closer to Salat al-Jumu'ah and making subhanallah ghusl, shower, all of this stuff, it's going to be you are more fresh, and nobody going to smell anything bad or stuff like that. So especially in Salat Jumu'ah, a lot of people are crowded. So Surah Al-Kahf, my dear brother and sister, I'm going to focus inshallah, as I told you, in a couple of days about because every, not just Surah Al-Kahf, my dear brothers and sisters, but every surah, subhanallah, you can divide it by many chapters, many topics, focus on. And some of the Mufassirin, they go with these topics, some of them they go with details. So I'm gonna go with some of these topics, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. But Nabi alayhi salam, my dear brothers and sisters, when he said, subhanallah, it's really dangerous about Masih al-Dajjal. This is false Messiah who's gonna come in. Nobody knows when it's gonna be. Of course, it's gonna be one of the big signs of the Day of Judgment, before the Day of Judgment. But it's Nabi alayhi salam قال ما من نبي أرسل إلا وحذر قومه من الدجال. Nabi alayhi salam said, no, subhanallah, a prophet came in, let's say he warned his ummah, his nation, from Masih al-Dajjal. Because even Nabi alayhi salam, or even any prophet before him, they don't know exactly when it's gonna come in, because nobody knows when it's gonna be the Day of Judgment, or before the signs of the Day of Judgment, including Nabi alayhi salam. So, but there is signs, as I told you. So Nabi alayhi salam قال أيها الناس إن ربكم ليس بأعور إن ربكم ليس بأعور إن ربكم ليس بأعور. قال فيتبعه أكثر أهل الأرض يأمر السماء أن تمطر فتمطر ويأمر الأرض أن تنبت فتنبت. Subhanallah Rabbil Alameen. Nabi alayhi salam قال, the vast majority, can you imagine, my dear brothers, nobody may be immune. Nobody can guarantee, myself, yourself, unless with tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody immune from not follow this guy and to say he's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he pretend he's gonna be the God. Nabi alayhi salam قال, the vast majority of the people, including the Muslims, are gonna follow him. They're gonna say, you are the God. Because look at this fitna, subhanallah. قال يأمر السماء, you're gonna request the heaven to be rain, it's gonna come in rain instantly, right away. And he gonna, subhanallah, request the soil to be planted, it's gonna be planted, it's gonna come into desert, subhanallah, it's gonna turn to be, subhanallah, planted right away. So it's a lot of fitna. Like even like some people, they die, he retain them back, subhanallah, to life. This is, of course, this coming. All of this comes from Allah subhanahu wa taala. It's going to be big fitna from the vast majority of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قال فيتبعه أكثر أهل الأرض لا إله إلا الله. Then big fitna. Like and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in another hadith قال there is no fitna more than fitnat Masih al-Dajjal since the beginning of this dunya, subhanallah. So it's really dangerous, my dear brothers and sisters. And subhanallah, yani Allah, Nabi alayhi salam, he gave us many things, like subhanallah, to protect ourselves, of course, like being Muslim, but to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order. This is one of the great things protect from you. To recite Surah Al-Kahf. This is the point. Recite Surah Al-Kahf. Nabi alayhi salam, he mentioned many narrations. قال من قرأ سورة الكهف يوم الجمعة كانت له أمانا من فتنة المسيح الدجال. والنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام in another حديث قال من قرأ العشر آيات الأول من سورة الكهف كانت له أمانة من المسيح الدجال. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم in another حديث قال من قرأ العشر الآيات الأخر من سورة الكهف كانت له أمانا من فتنة المسيح الدجال. Whoever recite the whole surah. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم in another حديث قال the first 10 ayats. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said the first or the last 10 ayahs of Surah Al-Kahf, it's going to be inshallah protective, or protect you from fitnat al-Masih al-Dajjal. Why? This is, I have to ask myself. Is it like, oh, it's easy to recite? For example, if I'm going to go with this hadith, the first 10 ayahs, it's easy. Within 1 minute I can, or 2 minutes or whatever, I can recite them. But no, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he wanted me and you to go deeply, to dive in about the meaning, which it comes from, subhanallah, from Surah Al-Kahf, so we can protect ourselves, or taking like lesson or wisdoms, or taking at home a message from the greatness of Surah Al-Kahf. One of the great things, subhanallah, the first topic Allah talking about Ashab al-Kahf, those who are went to subhanallah, to Al-Kahf to protect themselves from those who want to kill them. What's the point about this Ashab al-Kahf? Can you imagine, my dear brothers and sisters, those who are in Al-Kahf, they used to be very rich, very wealthy. These subhanallah, young, teenagers, maybe younger, maybe in the 20s, most likely less than 30s. Subhanallah, they are very wealthy. They don't need any money. They don't need any, subhanallah. But when they, subhanallah, put their selves between, being or worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or go with their qawm, with their tribes, away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no, they pick this, and they know the price is going to be it's going to be pricey, it's going to be high. They're going to pay this, subhanallah, price. For that reason, they follow them. And they they try by many ways to kill them, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them in this cave. And can you imagine, this is another things we can take from this, subhanallah, surah. They stay 300 and more than 300 years. Can you imagine, in the cave, when Allah protect them? This is miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my dear brothers and sisters. And one of the lesson we take, subhanallah, about when you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a young, it's totally different when you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you turn to be me and you 50 or 60 or 70. For that reason, subhanallah, in the Islam, they focus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam in the youth, in the young, more than the other, with all respect, the other age. النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام لما قال اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس شبابك قبل هرمك. Take advantage from 5 before the other 5 is coming. One of these, your youth before it comes to turn to be elder or old. Because all of us, when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah, oh, my back, oh, I cannot pray, I cannot wake up for Fajr, I cannot come into, subhanallah, it's a lot of disease coming to all of, or to most likely of us, may Allah protect all of us, when you turn to be 50, 60, all of the, but when you are young, it's totally different. So for that reason, we have to focus in the youth, on the young, even my kids, your kids. subhanallah, to bring them to the mosque, for example, in the masjid. Any Muslim, like for example, protect them, especially here, for example. Even if you think you're gonna pay extra price, extra money to bring, like, or to take your kids to Islamic school, even if it's the quality is less than what you think about it, but like to protect their deen. This is the way. Like, look, these guys, they are wealthy, and they go with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way, compared to, like, being like as a, living, luxury life and all of this stuff. So this is one of the lessons, one of the great things, like protect me when the fitan, it's coming, like being young, and your mind, it's full, and all of, like, energy you have it, compared to being, like, elder, all of this stuff. Even in any nation, subhanallah, we have to focus on the youth more than any, like, subhanallah, focus on, I mean, not like ignore or neglect the other, but I mean like focus on the youth. And even nowadays, subhanallah, any ummah, any nation, if I want to see, like, this nation is going to be, like, the future, for future, it's going to be, it's going to be great for them. I look at the population, like, subhanallah, how much the youth compare, for example, to the elder. All of us, for example, how complain in Japan, in Germany, here in US, about, subhanallah, fertility and all of this stuff, maybe 1.2, 1.3, compared to, for example, many of Arabs, Muslims countries, which is like 4.8, or, when you bring kids and all of this stuff. So that means it's something, like, give you, like, like, subhanallah, give you vision about how the future is gonna, even if, like, the countries is not like, as the wealthy countries, all of this stuff, but they focus on this as a population. So this is one of the great things we have to take advantage. Even if you, for example, if you are, like, right now 50, 60, 70, try, subhanallah, and you didn't get the chance to being, like, follow Allah's order when you used to be young, focus on your kids, focus on your grandkids, subhanallah, so they can be, inshallah, in a great shape, and a great, subhanallah, opportunity for them to be worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to protect themselves from the fitan. All of us, I'm going to conclude with this, especially nowadays, we try all of our best as a parent, as a grandparents, to protect our youth, especially in this country, subhanallah, from the fitan outside. All of us, like, regardless if you are, for example, righteous, follow practice or not, but you try your best, subhanallah, because when they pass this age from the fitan, it's gonna be kind of okay compared to, subhanallah, because a lot of those who are, subhanallah, go to, for example, being atheist, God forbidden, or, for example, suicide attempts or drug abuse and all of this stuff, it comes from the youth more than the other age. Is that correct? I'm not saying, like, the other age is not going to be involved, but I'm saying, like, most likely it's coming from the youth. So when you protect them, and when you look at the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, my dear brothers and sisters, the vast majority of the Sahaba al-Kiram, they used to be, like, young, subhanallah. They used to be young, like 35, 28, 17. Sayyidina Usama bin Zayd, when he used to be, like, the leader of one of the great, subhanallah, battle before Nabi alayhi salam passed away. So, subhanallah, like 17, 20, 25, 30, like, barely you can find Sahabi pass 40, subhanallah, years when the Nabi alayhi salam comes to risala, or to be like a messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is one of the great things, and we're gonna, inshallah, continue talking about the topic, or the great things taken from Surah al-Kahf. But it's highly recommended, my dear brothers and sisters, to recite it, inshallah, to listen it while you are driving, and to recite it. Of course, this is the full credit. If you want to take the full credit to recite it, coming to Salat al-Jumu'ah, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the time, or take opportunity while you are at home or something to recite, inshallah, to get full credit. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from Masih al-Dajjal. Allahumma inna nas'aluka bijay haqq ismika al-azim al-a'zam, wa bihaqqi hurmati hadhihi اللحظات الطيبة المباركة من هذه الليلة ليلة ليلة الجمعة أن تجمع أمرنا. اللهم جمع أمرنا على ما يرضيك عنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعلنا إخوة متحابين. اللهم ارزق كل واحد منا الفردوس الأعلى من الجنة. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن، ونعوذ بك من فتنة المسيح الدجال. اللهم إنا نسألك بجاه حق اسمك العظيم الأعظم أن تبارك في هذه الجالية والمسجد والقائمين عليه، وأن تجعلها وسائر جاليات ومساجد المسلمين منارة خير وبركة ورحمة يا رب العالمين. اللهم بجاه حق اسمك العظيم الأعظم، كل واحد الساعة له عندك أمنيات وأعطيات. اللهم أعط كل واحد منا ما يشتهي ويريد بشرط رضاك من خيري الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم بجاه حق اسمك العظيم الأعظم امسح علينا بيمينك الشافية وانقلنا إلى العافية. نعوذ بك اللهم من البرص والجنون والجذام وسيء الأسقام. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم احفظ أولادنا وبناتنا وأزواجنا وزوجاتنا وذرارينا إلى يوم الدين، وأموالنا وما ملكتنا من كل مكروه وسوء. اللهم إنا نسألك بجاه حق اسمك العظيم الأعظم، بجاه حق اسمك العظيم الأعظم أن تجعلنا من خلص عبادك المصطفين الأخيار. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه الأطهار على نية القبول. الفاتحة. جزاكم الله خيرا. جزاكم الله خير.